The Whispers in Room 207. Sarah had always been a night owl, so when she landed the job as the night receptionist at the historic Blackwood Hotel, she thought it was perfect. The grand Victorian building, with its ornate woodwork and crystal chandeliers, had stood for over a century. Sarah loved imagining the stories its walls could tell, if only she knew the horror that awaited her. Her first 2 nights passed uneventfully, filled with quiet hours and the occasional late check-in. But on her 3rd night, everything changed. At precisely 3:17 a.m., the phone at the front desk rang shrilly, startling Sarah from her reverie. "Front desk, how may I help you?" Sarah answered, trying to keep the surprise from her voice. "There's someone in my room," a woman's voice cried out, panic evident in every syllable. "Someone's whispering." Sarah frowned, her mind racing through possible explanations. "Ma'am, please calm down. What room are you in?" 207, the woman replied, her voice shaking. "Please, you have to believe me. There's someone here." Sarah tried to soothe the distraught guest. "It's probably just the old pipes, ma'am. This building has a lot of character, and sometimes it makes strange noises." But the guest was adamant. "No, you don't understand. It's words. They're saying 'get out' over and over again." A chill ran down Sarah's spine, but she maintained her professional demeanor. "I'll send security up right away to check on you, ma'am. Please try to stay calm." Sarah dispatched the night security guard, a burly man named Mike, to room 207. She waited anxiously for his return, her fingers drumming on the polished wood of the reception desk. After what seemed like an eternity, Mike returned, shaking his head. "All clear," he reported. "The lady was pretty worked up, but there was no one in the room. No signs of entry, nothing out of place. Must have been a nightmare or something." Sarah nodded, relieved but still uneasy. She called the guest back to reassure her, and eventually the woman calmed down and agreed to try to get some sleep. But that was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, similar calls came in from room 207, always at exactly 3:17 a.m. Different guests, same story, whispers telling them to "get out." The hotel manager was baffled. They had the room checked for hidden speakers, brought in plumbers to examine the pipes, even had the local priest perform a blessing. Nothing helped. Determined to solve the mystery, Sarah volunteered to spend a night in the infamous Room 207. Her colleagues thought she was crazy, but she was resolute. Armed with her phone, a voice recorder, and a hefty flashlight, she settled into the room just before midnight. The hours ticked by slowly. Sarah's eyes grew heavy, but she forced herself to stay awake. As the old grandfather clock in the lobby chimed 3 times, she sat up straighter, every nerve on edge. At exactly 3:17 a.m., she heard it, faint whispers emerging from the walls, growing louder with each passing second. "Get out. While you still can." Sarah's heart raced as she fumbled for her phone, desperate to capture the supernatural occurrence. With trembling hands, she hit record, holding the device towards the source of the whispers. But when she played back the recording, her blood ran cold. The whispers were there, but the message was different. "Too late, Sarah. You're one of us now." Panic seized her. She bolted for the door, but it wouldn't budge. The whispers grew louder, surrounding her, drowning out her screams for help. The last thing Sarah saw before losing consciousness was her own reflection in the mirror, pale, translucent, with eyes full of otherworldly despair. The next morning, room 207 was empty. Sarah's belongings were there, but there was no sign of the young receptionist. The police were called, an investigation launched, but Sarah Jenkins had vanished without a trace. In the months that followed, guests continued to report strange occurrences in room 207. But now, along with the usual whispers, they spoke of a young woman's voice, pleading for help at exactly 3:17 a.m. The Blackwood Hotel still stands, and room 207 is still open for bookings. But late at night, when the old building creaks and groans, the night staff swear they can hear Sarah's voice among the whispers, warning new guests to get out while you still can. The Laughing Doll. The Peterson family couldn't believe their luck when they found the perfect home, a beautiful Victorian mansion on the outskirts of town, selling for a fraction of its worth. John and Mary, along with their 8-year-old daughter Lily, were thrilled to start their new life in such a grand old house. Lily especially loved her new room, with its high ceilings and large bay window. But her favorite feature was the antique dollhouse tucked away in the corner, an exact miniature replica of their new home. The first few nights passed peacefully as the family settled in. But on the 4th night, Lily woke her parents with a start. "Mommy, Daddy, the dolls are laughing," she cried, her eyes wide with fear. John and Mary assumed it was just a nightmare, soothing their daughter back to sleep. But as the days went by, strange occurrences became more frequent. Objects would move on their own, and the family often heard faint giggling when no one was around. Mary tried to rationalize it. "It's just an old house settling," she'd say. But the unease in her voice betrayed her true feelings. Things took a darker turn when Mary went to check on Lily one afternoon. She found her daughter sitting in front of the dollhouse, talking animatedly to a doll she'd never seen before, a porcelain figure with an unsettling, wide smile. "Lily, honey, where did you get that doll?" Mary asked, trying to keep the tremor out of her voice. Lily looked up, her eyes oddly vacant. "This is Miss Giggles, Mommy. She's always been here. She says this is her house, and we're her new family." A chill ran down Mary's spine. She and John scoured the house, searching for any explanation, any sign of where the doll could have come from. They found nothing. Desperate for answers, the Petersons brought in a medium, an old woman named Madame Ezra. The moment she stepped into the house, her face went pale. "There's a malevolent presence here," she whispered, her eyes darting around nervously. "It's ancient, angry, and it's tied to that doll. You must remove it from the house immediately." John nodded grimly, heading up to Lily's room to get the doll. But as he reached for Miss Giggles, the impossible happened. The doll's head turned, its painted eyes fixing on John. Then, in a child's sing-song voice, it spoke. "You can't get rid of me. I'm part of the family now." The Petersons fled the house that very night, leaving everything behind. They never spoke publicly about what happened, too afraid of being labeled as crazy. Years passed, and new families moved in and out of the old Victorian, never staying long. Rumors spread through the neighborhood about the strange house where objects moved on their own and children's laughter echoed through empty rooms. Today, the house stands empty once again. But sometimes, late at night, people walking by swear they can see a small figure in the attic window, a porcelain doll with an impossibly wide smile, beckoning to passers-by to come in and play. And in the surrounding neighborhoods, parents warn their children about the giggling girl sometimes seen in the old house's windows, her eyes gleaming with an unnatural light as she invites them to come play forever.